Hey everybody, welcome back to Midwest Marksman. My name is Andrew. Today I'm going to be doing a really brief overview of putting this childproof cabinet, gun safe, gun cabinet, however you want to refer to it, putting this together to start with, talking about where you might philosophically want to put this in your home. I'll talk a little bit about the feature sets, how it's designed, what the intended use and application might be for something like this, what my general thoughts are of this. It's not so much a review, it's more of an overview of this cabinet, and then kind of my philosophy in where does something like this fit in your tiers and systems of security that I think pretty much everybody who has firearms in the home, children or not, burglary risks or not, everybody who has something, I'll have a little bit of philosophy of what I think makes a lot of sense and how you can use this to your advantage to help protect your systems, your home, your investments, and essentially other people. So the first thing I needed was just an open space. Don't need much. I have about a 6x8 space here where I'm going to set this up, and then I'll decide where in the house or garage or which property I'll put it at. I'm not 100% sure yet, so I won't be securing this in this video to a wall or anything like that. I'm going to kind of decide where I want to put it. But it's kind of neat to show you before I build it, the process. There's a really stiff, heavy door, pretty thick steel actually. This is a decent gauge of steel. Happy with that. You can see that you have a pre-installed panel. This is already good to go, screwed in with the fabric, so it's none of that magnetic or glued on stuff. That stuff always fails in safes in my experience, so I much appreciate this. Looks like you could easily put some mags or a pistol in here. It's not, a holster, so just consider that if you're putting something loaded in there. Then you have a compartment for your batteries. And before I really get everything going, I probably will throw some batteries in there. There's a little bit of the walkthrough. You do have everything labeled really nicely on the entire safe. And actually, in your manual, you're going to find this is a pretty decent manual. It does describe things well, and the pictures as well as the text seem to be pretty clear. You have some phone numbers on there too if you ever have any questions. A couple cool extras. You get a light in here, and so that's really convenient because a lot of times if it's just dark in general, it's nice to have some sort of light that you can move around and put in an appropriate spot so you can see in the safe when motion activates it. Then you're going to have included some tools. So it actually does come with the, kind of like an adult size screwdriver, not those little kid toys you get with some packages. And you get some gloves in there if you need them, a couple other components that are necessary to the safe in your hardware. Here it is. Now that it's put together, you can kind of see what's going on, and especially because you have one of the lights that they send out. It has a magnetic strip on the back that you apply, and there's another side. So if you wanted to put this light somewhere like in a closet above your safe, I suppose you could do it that way if you had a wood shelf that you needed to make magnetize. Otherwise, this will work fine on the safe. It is metal, so it's going to magnetize to whatever surface you put it on aside from like fabric. So it's nice to have that little LED light in there, and it does provide a sufficient amount to see what's inside. I've only thrown in a couple things here. It may not be set up totally practically, but my guess would be that if you're looking at smaller pistols, kind of like what I have sitting here, you can fit 4 comfortably on the bottom without running into each other at all if they have optics. If they don't have optics or they just have red dots, you could probably fit 5 or 6 comfortably. If they're in that configuration, when it comes to 16-inch plus devices, in this case, plus a can, this is actually quite a long operation. I could fit some of my medium length bolt action guns in here just fine. And when it comes to semis with a can on, I still have plenty of clearance. This is a full-size can. It's an 8-inch can with a 16-inch barrel. I would be able to fit my 20-inch barrel with a can on in here. And this is with a longer stock as well. You can see that there are different ways you might be able to set it up. I have all 3 of these sitting in the safe right now. It comes with these. They're removable. They just have some slots cut in them, and they sit down on some rest. If you didn't want to use those and you wanted to use the side space, you could configure it in a way to set up your guns this way, more of a traditional thing where you reach in. Typically, I a lot of times with like that sort of gun or those sorts of guns that I just showed, they go barrel down in the safe for some obvious reasons. And so the pistol grip is up. And it just depends how you're setting it up, what the purpose of your safe is. But it's going to fit probably something like this. Again, 4 comfortably would be my guess. And I have had no problems making things fit as far as leaning, but I would say these notches are more for a barrel size. So if you have an exposed barrel in a traditional shotgun, a traditional bolt action, that's where these would set in. But if you have a bull barrel or you have a shroud or you have a can, it'll more just rest in between channels. One thing you could do is, because it's foam, you could modify that. You could cut out a larger channel really easily, and I might even end up doing that myself. Back in. And there are 4 locations for anchoring this to your wall, and then you can anchor it to your floor. I'm not going to do that right now, but it is really important because this has a heavyweight door, which we'll get to what's inside the door there. It's really important that you do anchor this to a wall. It is going to want to tip on you significantly because of the weight of this door, which makes it a great safe for going in between things and then anchoring it to the wall and to the floor, and ideally against concrete with some concrete anchors in between, kind of wedged in between things, so it's hard to get at in the first place. It may just deter some people. This is your actuator on the outside. You have a key, you have a button pass as well, but I'm not going to talk too much about that just yet. Up top, I have a pair of binoculars. I have a full-size plano pistol case in here, which I'm not going to talk too much about or show you, but it's got a lot of depth, would be what I'd have to say. Is it fits a nice size pistol case without squeezing it too much. I have a pistol in here. I have a light in the top. I have a couple blades, another pistol, some magazines, or you could put some folding knives in here, some fixed blades, accessories, cleaning kits, IDs, information. There's a nice zippered pouch on the bottom here, which would be a good spot if you have a suppressor, you want to put your paperwork in there, or to drop a can in. That would be a good place to keep one of those. But overall, a pretty nice amount of space. And one of the key features of this safe, as far as security and safety goes, is it will alert people if they gain access to it in any other way. It's going to do certain things. I'm not going to give away all the tricks and tips about this safe because I don't want to expose that to people who are nefarious or mean to do harm. But I'm going to say there are some things built into the safe that were pretty smart, and it feels like a much more modern gun storage cabinet than I'm used to. And technically, with this door, it is going to be described as a safe. So you have 3 pins running through here and a couple other measures to keep it locked up and hard to access. All right, you can see the keypad was lit up there for a second. There obviously is a quick pass there, which just go through your manual. It's going to describe that process a little bit. For the safety reasons, I'm not going to go through some of that right now, but there is a way to access that there. If you're more comfortable with running it with a key for whatever reason, you get a pair of keys. They're going to help you run your safe as well. And because that's motion activated, when I open up the door, light goes on to whatever I need to grab out of here, which is really good. Close it, key comes out, or I can access, like I said, again, electronically. You do have this exterior power module here. It comes with a lot of extras. It comes with things you need, except for what you need to mount it to the wall if you're going to use screws. It does come with some other types of anchors, but just something to think about. If you want to go directly into studs or into concrete, in that case, I would just plan to go out and get some high quality hardware and then also pin it in between some things. Right here, what I have is, it's fine. It would be fine to keep children away or people who generally are not using tools to their advantage. This would be okay for a while, especially because the door is so thick. But if you have an ability to put it between some things, to pin it in between some things, and even put things on top of it and weigh it down with heavy ammo if you're going to use it for an ammo safe. Maybe you're in a state where you can put firearms and ammo together. that's a great way just to secure it up one more time. And this is not a fireproof safe. If your house catches on fire, it's not one of those. This is more about keeping people who should not be touching your stuff at bay. It's not going to survive up to a really, really motivated person who has a lot of time. And that would be true of actually most safes on the market. Those are just not going to hold up either. And so I don't want to make this sound like it's not worthwhile, because it is. I'm actually going to use it. I also don't want to make it sound like it's going to hold up to the worst fire that anybody's ever seen in a house, and it's not going to hold up to a really highly motivated, nefarious person. Those are things that are outside the norm, and that's just why you have multiple layers of security. So for me, this is kind of the last layer of security in a process. You know, you start with the home or in the environment you're in, what's exterior. So making sure that your home is hard to get into, that it's not tempting, that you're not leaving things out, telling people, yeah, come and use my property or come get inside. That's going to be easy to get into. So you start with the exterior and you harden your exterior. And then security systems are essential. Security systems that run even if your wireless or your power goes out. Those are essential systems and programs to run. You can get some software that'll really help beef up your security and give you some comfort when you're far away. And that's what I did in my case, is I have multiple systems and layers ahead of the ball. And then some people will even put out decoy safes, which I think is a great idea too. They'll have a couple decoy safes out. And then on top of that, I have gun insurance, and everybody should go to Golden Trophy. They have an awesome program to cover your firearms. It's who I personally use. And that is probably the one more additional layer to gun security. If you have a certain valued collection and a set of tools, NFA items, I highly suggest do all these things. And we do not want guns getting in the hands of children. We do not want guns getting in the hands of criminals. And I don't want somebody else taking my guns. So I think this is an awesome tool. It gets my mark of approval and a thumbs up for what it is. And at the cost point, it actually feels like a little bit more of a modern gun cabinet than some other ones that I've had that are just, basically a pair of keys. This one actually comes with some additional features, and it wasn't that hard to put together.